All righty. Hey, folks, how you doing? Ron Raymond here from the Raymond Report with your NHL forecast today. And welcome to the sports betting podcast with Ross Benjamin of Ross Benjamin Sports, which you can find him each and every day also at atsstats.com. Mr. Ross Benjamin, how you doing, sir?
Well, Ron, my eyes are a little swollen because I was crying last night because I lost my first game in the NHL playoffs yesterday. I had Pittsburgh and Montreal under the total, but I'm over it now. Hopefully, my eyes opened up a little bit more. But 4-1 so far. And Ron Raymond, how about 8-2 so far in the NHL playoffs? So between both of us, folks, or 9-2, I'm sorry. So between both of us, 13-3 in the NHL postseason thus far.
So you had a tear in your beer yesterday, Ross?
Yeah. It was early, too, because once
the
game went 3-3, it was pretty much decided. And, I cried and got over it and got a good night's sleep, and now I'm ready to make some money.
You know what? That game was what I expected Toronto-Columbus to be like the night before. Yeah. I had the over in that Toronto-Columbus game, and I was expecting what I saw last night happen 2 nights ago. And I think last night, whenever you get, Sidney Crosby, Jonathan Drouin, I guess Chris Nyland's woke him up with that little poke check with his Twitter post. But you know what? Pretty good night last night. Had the Tampa Bay game. That was an interesting game where Tampa Bay came out early, win 2-0 in the first, and then Boston going to Boston hockey, just trying to goon it up, get Tampa Bay out their game because, they're lacking some skill. But, Boston's a good playoff type team with the grit. But when you get a team like Tampa Bay who's got the firepower and skill like Kucherov and all that, Brendan Point, those guys can play some, they can put the puck in the net. And Vasilevsky, he looked really good in the first period, looked, okay in the second, but held the fort in the third period and we got the win there and lost with the Edmonton Oilers. Ross, Chicago, you got to give them, tip the hat to the Chicago Blackhawks. Jonathan Toews is playing like he did a few years ago when they won the Stanley Cup. And don't look now, but Chicago Blackhawks could be a team that we've been talking about in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a team that their core veterans have been there through some Stanley Cup winning runs. So, I was talking off air with Ron. I was almost of the mindset that why are you hanging on to these guys so long? Get rid of some of them, get some assets in return. You're not going to win the Stanley Cup this year, but they must have known more than we did because the old veterans got a 4-month break before entering the postseason, and it shows, So, but I don't think Edmonton's going to go away easily, Ron. The problem with the Oilers is their goaltending and they're playing their own zone. If they can clean that up a little bit, they'll have an excellent chance of coming back in the series.
Yeah, Koskinen, looked okay. Last game, yesterday was a bit normal, but they need goaltending, and that's what wins hockey games in the playoffs. Like I always say, you got to work the back end out, and if the goalie's hot and your defensemen play good around them, and then in the forwards, everybody knows their role, right? If you're on the first line, your scoring line, second line, third your checking line, and fourth, well, the sandpaper line, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Ross, every day when we do these report, we look at what the market conditions are. But, when you're talking playoff hockey, let's just go see exactly what the bookmakers need today and see what's coming in. Like, we looked in baseball, a lot of favorites are coming in, a lot of unders. And for hockey, we're going to take a look here at the Rain Report and looking at the NHL. All right. So looking at yesterday, the favorites 1-5 straight up. So it was dogs were barking yesterday, 1-5 and 1-5. 2-2 to the over under. So we had a couple
Ron,
of pushes.
could you put that up so we could?
I'm 3 for 3 today, buddy.
Me and the listeners and viewers could see it. So
yeah. So what Ross is alluding to, I got to share my screen, and I'm 3 for 3, and I go off without sharing the screen today.
3 shows today.
Yeah.
Perfect, folks, in that regard.
That's it. Hey, I'm going to get the tap back to the bench.
Yeah.
But looking at so look at this. The favorites yesterday, Ross, 17% compared to 83% for the dogs. And on the 3-day average, 61% of the favorites, 52.6 on a 7-day average. So we're in a neutral market for the favorites. And this is what I like now is, teams that play 2-3 games, coaches are line juggling. It's pretty neutral right now. The over-under is pretty much to the under. 62% of the games have gone under. 38% have gone over. But look at this on the 1-day average, 3-day average. It's finally balancing out. So you're seeing more balance in that point. 4-2, 6-4 the last 2 days, 60%. So you know what, Ross? Fair market value in my books when I'm going to be shopping today for NHL.
Yeah, and what Ron's referring to on those charts when it comes up neutral is that indicates that it's almost a half and half on the results, and we're on equal footing with the bookmakers. Correct, Ron?
That's right. You want to think like a bookmaker, and you want to, and I say this in the Raymond report, which you can get each and every day at ATS Stats. There's 3 components to my way of handicapping, the way I do it. You look for value, you look for the percentage play, and you follow cycles. If you don't follow cycles, how are you going to know what's coming in? And how are you going to know what team? No, there's a reason why they keep a track of streaks and stats, right? You want to see who's winning, who's losing, because at the end of the day, Ross, you can't win forever, you can't lose forever, and the over and under is the same scenario. All right, we're going to go right to the rain report forecast today, Ross. We've got, I guess, there's no Islander game at 12 noon today, so Bettman's giving the Boatman a little bit of a breather here today. Okay?
Exactly.
So we got a 2:30 start here in Edmonton. We're going to kick it off on the West Coast here today, Ross, or not Central Time, Alberta. Or no?
No, that's actually Pacific Coast time.
Pacific. Or no, it's a 2 hour.
No, you're right. Central time.
Yeah, mountain time.
Yeah.
It's mountain time.
Mountain time, correct. 2 hours.
There we go. It's not only a sports handicapping show, we do a little geography too.
Yeah. And we're not very good at it. Well, we are good in handicapping, folks.
Over-under is set at 5.5. ATS forecast, the computer pick, leaning with the Wild here, who lost game number 2 to Vancouver 4-3. 3.06, 2.45. The over-under at 5.51. So just a smidgen over the total here, Ross. 40% chance of winning for Calgary, Vancouver, 58% for the Wild, and 30% of this chance of this game going over the total. So likes it to go under. And you know what? We should be in a good one here today between the Wild and Vancouver.
I mean, obviously, this is a huge game in the series. Whoever wins goes up 2-1, and whoever loses is on the brink of elimination since it's the best of 5. I'm going to go with the experience here in this game here, Ron, with the Minnesota Wild. I just think you saw it even in the last game. They fell behind, but they battled back, and they made Vancouver sweat. I think ultimately that experience will be the difference in this series. And I like Vancouver's young talent. But as you well know, as you touched upon with the Chicago Blackhawks, Ron, experience means a lot. Not only experience, playoff experience. And Minnesota has plenty of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Stalock should get the nod here today over Markstrom for Vancouver. But you're absolutely right. When you look at NHL playoffs and you look at teams have won, you've always got a lot of veterans in those lineups. And goaltending, again, I can't emphasize enough. Goaltending is key, but I don't know if both these teams have the goaltending to get them through deep in the rounds. But looking at today's game, Ross, this looks like a zigzag theory in basketball, where you want to go against a team that lost last game, and we know that Vancouver won. So Minnesota here, minus 117 is a little price. It's probably where I'm leaning in my early indicators. Yeah,
I think that's a good value at that price.
Washington taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, the Flyers, to me, Ross, are the team that impressed me the best so far in these early playoffs, because we all know the history of Philadelphia. The goaltending always lets them down. Now, it looks like Brian Elliott's going to get the nod here today against Braden Holtby. Washington coming off a 3-2 shootout loss in their last game to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Lightning looking really good. And for Philly, 4-1 win over the Boston Bruins. They matched them up pound for pound, and they look very good. I look at the lineup here for Philadelphia: Couturier, Konecny, Voracek, Claude Giroux. Claude Giroux played his junior hockey here across the river in Hull, Gatineau, Quebec. Fan favorite. Boy, he can dangle that puck. And very good hockey player. And he's looked pretty good so far in that first game. And you know what? I love Philly in this spot here today.
Yeah, you know what? Philadelphia looks like a team that's peaking at the right time, Ron. Even if you look before the break occurred. This is another game that you got to keep in mind, and I'm speaking to the viewers and the listeners out there, this is not a playoff series. It's part of the top 4 in each conference playing a 3-game round robin to determine the 1 through 4 seeding. So again, you alluded to the fact that Brian Elliott's going to be in the net today for Philly.
Yeah, that's
and Hart's been terrific for them. So if this is a playoff series, I can't believe they would have went with Elliott in this situation. But I'm sort of leaning toward these types of games being a little more wide open than we might think. And I would keep an eye on the overs in these round robin games.
Yeah, the old James Patrick division. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's what high scoring affair.
Yeah.
But you know what? The one thing I love with Philly right now that they got, and no one talks about it, is Alain Vigneault, the head coach. He came to Philly. He knew exactly what needs to be done. What happened? They got all the forwards. They got the defense. They just need to get that goaltending solidified. And if they can get some great goaltending, either by Elliott, not a real, Elliott's not a guy that when I think of playoff hockey that comes to my head. I'm hoping Hart is the guy because there's always teams that you cheer for players. Claude Giroux is a guy I cheer for. I think he's a great hockey player, a good guy.
And, Alain Vigneault, let's not forget, he led Vancouver to the Stanley Cup Finals, which they lost in 7 games to Boston. And if I recall correctly, he got the Rangers to the Eastern Conference Finals. So this is a guy that knows how to get his teams well prepared at this time of year.
Yeah, and he's also a Hall Olympic coach. Like you look at the Hall Olympics here, Ross. They're across the river. A great organization. Luc Robitaille played there. Pat Burns was a coach there. Claude Julien was a coach there. Alain Vigneault was a coach there. There's some great coaches that came out of the Gatineau Olympics organization. I used to have season tickets there. And if you ever come to Canada in the month of the hockey season, folks, go to the Robert Gertin Arena. The Gert. We call it the Gert, the Bob, whatever you want to call it. It looks like the old Forum. If you go online, just Google Robert Gertin Arena. It looks like the mini Forum. And it's just a great, great hockey barn to play in. And the fans are absolutely passionate. It's a great place to watch hockey, and I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir to the hockey fans who are listening. Anyways, a lot of great coaches come out of the Gatineau Olympics.
And the Hall franchise, the Hall Olympics, will be sending you their PR check that you just did for them. So
exactly, and Jared Roenick played there too. Looking at Washington, minus 120 price here today, over under a 6. Computer all over Philly here, 3.17, 3.09, and I'm going to lean with the Flyers here today, Ross.
Yeah, again, I would be looking at the total in the game. Anyway, go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, yeah, no, total's a good one too, Ross. It's 63% chance of going over, so yeah, you know what? And it falls into, it's not a favorite, so it doesn't fall into my thing. But we saw a stat. Remember that stat I was telling you, like the favorite, take the over? Forget about that for this right now because it's not working in hockey. Vegas Golden Knights taking on the St. Louis Blues. Now, when I saw this line come out this morning, it reminded me yesterday of the same line between Tampa Bay and Boston. Boston was the favorite. And I saw this line, I'm saying, why is Vegas a favorite here? I'm all over St. Louis in here, Ross, and I'm going, you know what? This is a free play that I'm going to give out right now. I'm taking the St. Louis Blues today. It's one of my top plays, minus 105. Give me St. Louis Blues. Even though the computer likes the Vegas Golden Knights, 2.81, 2.47. I think we're getting a great price here on the St. Louis Blues, a very veteran-led team here, a team that won a Stanley Cup, and Binnington against Fleury should get the nod. And you know what? Looking at this, Shannon Schwartz, Perron, O'Reilly, Pietrangelo, you're getting some really good players here against a Vegas Golden Knight who's, you know what, you got to keep in mind, they didn't look too good against Dallas, even though they came back and won. You can come back against Dallas. I don't think you can come back against St. Louis in that type of situation.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to mention the same thing. They came back from a 3-1 deficit heading into the third period to win that game 5-3. Basically, Ron, they got outplayed for 2 periods. St. Louis off that tough 2-1 loss against Colorado. I'm looking for them to bounce back with a huge effort today. You mentioned Jordan Binnington. Excellent over his last 4 starts going back before the break. Good goaltending there. I think St. Louis, I don't want to show my hand too much, but I guess I am. I think this is a great spot for the Blues against the Knights today.
Yeah, and they're going on 3 days rest. So, weird scheduling. Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. I hope it's a hockey game and not a soccer game today because I want to see some goals scored in this game. Looking at the line, minus 150 for Toronto. The over-under set at 5.5. ATS forecast, the computer pick. Going to lean with Columbus here. 2.9, 2.78. The over-under at 5.68. Now, John Tortorella was not happy after last game. He just came out and blatantly said, we sucked. And, they did suck, Ross.
They got outshot 39-20 in that game.
Yeah, and didn't look good at all. Foligno and company. Then it's okay to bump and grind and bring the sandpaper, but you got to put the puck in the net. That's what hockey's all about. And you can't leave your goalie out to dry like they did in the last few games. Now looking at Corpuscello here, he's he's done very well coming in here. And looking at tonight, we should see Freddie Anderson going for the Leafs. Now 43% chance of winning for Columbus, 41 for the Leafs. Now the Leafs, although they won that game, there's still some guys MIA right there, like Mitch Marner, Nylander. These are guys, and even though Matthews, I think, scored, and he had a nice goal against Columbus, you want him to be Jonathan Toews, like in the playoffs. McDavid. Get us those goals. That's what we're paying you the big bucks for. And I think going into this one here, Michel Bergeron, remember him, the Quebec Nordiques? He used to say, if you're going to rough it up, do it in the first 10 minutes of a game, then play hockey. Yep. And that's what Columbus should do here today. If they're going to play physical, get it over with in the first 10 games, then concentrate on putting the puck in the net. Don't just try to bang everything in sight for 60 minutes. The Mark Lawrence adage that he says, don't expect bad teams to play good for you, right?
Yeah, don't expect bad teams to do good things for you. A couple things, Ron. In terms of Columbus, I mean, from a pure fan's appreciation of watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, this is a team that can make you look bad and at the same time make games ugly. In other words, not exactly entertaining to watch, right, Ron? And I think you
New Jersey
touched upon that, before, correct?
Yeah.
And the Toronto Maple Leafs, for whatever reason, it goes back before the break, have gone into a scoring drought at a time when they could ill afford to do so. And they're playing one of the better defensive teams in hockey, so they could look awful bad too. I mean, I think that was the first time Toronto scored 3 goals or more than 2 goals in a game in their last 6. And I believe the last goal they scored was an empty netter, if I'm not mistaken. So Toronto definitely, Ron was saying, their key scorers have to start coming to life here. And I almost want Columbus, get rid of Columbus so we can watch some entertaining hockey going forward, because God bless John Tortorella. He knows he doesn't have the type of scoring that's going to carry him deep in the playoffs, and this is the way they have to play to win. All you have to do is look back last year when they faced the Tampa Bay team with all that offensive firepower that had 128 regular season points, and they made them look terrible in a 4-game sweep. And then they go to the next round and they lay an egg and they get swept by Carolina. So, again, I hope Toronto wins the series, Ron, just so people can enjoy hockey going forward.
I had a discussion the other day, a very lively one, about the NHL and the NBA. The difference between the NBA and the NHL is that every team in the NBA has 1 or 2 players that are superstars or players that people pay good money to go see. You think of Memphis, you think of Morant. You think of obviously the Lakers. You think of LeBron. You think of Houston, Westbrook, and Harden. When I think of Columbus, who's that name that comes to mind? And
Nick
I was telling you,
I mean, he's not a household name.
No, he's not.
Probably the best player over the last few years.
But that's the problem with the NHL right now. They have an identity issue with teams. And I always say they don't make the superstar passing test. And that is, when I say a person's first name, what that name of that team should come to mind. I say LeBron, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's what's happening in NHL right now. They don't have enough names, offensive names or talented names, because it's a very watered down league with too many teams, and hockey with 4 lines. Hey, back in the day when the Montreal Canadiens were going, Guy Carbonneau was on the third line at one point.
Yeah.
Like Guy Carbonneau is a big name. And now there's sometimes you watch a hockey game, it's like, Lozon, who's that? It's like, that's what's the problem with hockey right now in some markets, that you don't have those identifiable, those big names, superstars, and they're just not marketing right like the NBA. You know what? Even right now in the NBA, I'm watching those games. It looks like there's nothing that's changed. Like even those virtual fans, it looks like a great viewing experience. So what I'm saying right now, Ross, is the NHL needs to start promoting their best players more. And
I agree. Here's one of the things I've always tried to be an advocate of over the last few years anyway, is I look at old games. I mean, I remember when the Edmonton Oilers, their totals used to be 8.5, 9. Remember those days when Gretzky was there? Yeah. And I look at some of those old games and the high scoring, and the totals were regularly 6.5, 7, 7.5, right, Ron? And the big difference I see is the size of the goalie's pads. Very simple, okay? You look at the size of the equipment the goalies were wearing back then compared to what they're wearing now. That may be something they should take a look at, Getting back to this game, if I can, Ron, before I lose my train of thought, what's flying under the radar right now is how well Frederik Andersen's playing in net.
Yeah.
I mean, the first 2 games he let off that soft goal, but he only gave up 1 goal in that game, in game 1. Shut out in game 2. And then if you go back before the break, his last 5, his save percentage is close to .97, which is incredible. If you're a hockey fan, you can appreciate over a 5-game stretch to have a save percentage that high. Your goaltender's playing awfully well. And thank God for that, because the Leafs aren't scoring right now. And there's too much talent on that team not to eventually come out of the scoring drought.
Well, last 3 games, 1.67 goals for. You said it all right there.
Yeah.
Calgary Flames taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Now, Calgary, a -155 favorite here. Over-under set at 5.5. ATS forecast, computer pick. Going to lean with Calgary, 3.32, 2.95. Over-under at 6.27. Now, Calgary won the last game 6-2. Winnipeg, they're limping into this one here. They got some injuries. Laney's out. Scheifele's out. They got a lot of guys out here. And again, it goes to that, that argument of who's the names that's going to step up here. Hellebuck has done a hell of a job for Winnipeg as much as he can. But you know what? Calgary right now is they're just wearing him down. And this is going to be a tough game for Winnipeg to come back and win. But, when you say that, when you least expect it, expect the unexpected, right?
Yeah. I mean, this was a series I thought a week or 2 ago when they came out with all the matchups that I thought Winnipeg would have a very good chance of upsetting Calgary. But then, you lose Scheifele. You lose Patrick Laine, who might play today, but who knows how close to 100% he is. I know he's not going to be 100. Who knows how healthy he is? Let's put it that way. And, the wear and tear really showed in the last game, right, Ron? Calgary just 6-2, decisive winner. It's tough to come back from that. If Winnipeg was to come up with a big effort today, it's hard for me to imagine them winning the next 2 in the series.
Yeah, Blake Wheeler, he's got to show up too. He's not a goal scorer, but he brings that veteran leadership. But you're dealing with a Matthew Tkachuk who's very he's like Ken Linsman right now.
Yeah, like the old man. He plays exactly like the old man. Could score some goals, and if he needs to drop them, he could do so.
Yeah, we got his brother here in Ottawa, Brady Tkachuk, which it's a love-hate relationship sometimes with him. Yeah. But the Tkachuks, they just they play a different brand of hockey, and I call it the Claude Lemieux factor. You hate him when he's not on your team, but you love him when he's playing for you, right?
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
So looking at the computer here, Ross, 3.32, 2.95, 6.27. I think the total is where you want to go. 60% chance of this game going over the total today. I think Calgary closed out the series, but I don't know if I want to lay 155.
Yeah, sort of a high number. I'm not an advocate of playing the puck line, especially at playoff time. But this, if there's indeed a situation you may want to look at, it might be this one to get some value. But I agree with Ron. I think that I will be eyeing the total here, and I'll look for an excuse to use the over. And if I don't find good enough excuses, I'm going to stay away from the game because there's no way I'm taking the under.
Yeah, no, it's one of those, hey, enjoy it as a fan. That's what I'm probably going to do. So there you have it, Ross. We went through all the games today. It should be some good ones. I'm looking forward to that Washington Philly game, and also St. Louis Blues today is my free pick here today on the Raymond Report with Ross Benjamin. Hopefully you cash you a nice winning ticket. Before we go, Ross, where can people find you and where can they buy your picks?
They can go to my website. That's rbwins.com. That's rbwins.com. I have daily and subscription packages up for sale. My NHL is off to a 4-1 start. What I would recommend while the sale continues to be on is going to atsstats.com where you can find my picks right there. You can get 20% off my normal pricing. So basically, I'm selling them for the same price as I am at my site, but Ron's given his customers, meaning myself as well, 20% off. So if I have a pickup for $50, you're getting it for, what is that, Ron? 20% off, 40 at Ron's site.
A little Canadian haircut here.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. And
I have to keep reminding Ron when he gives out these discounts that, just because I'm coming over the border, you don't have to shave everything on me.
And folks, you can get my plays each and every day right here at atsstats.com and use promo code ATS20. That's capital ATS20 and get 20% off today's packages. All right, Ross, good show today. It's in the books. That's 3 down. And now we're going to go and do our homework and watch some great sports. We got MLB, we got basketball and hockey tonight.
And Ron, if I could say before we leave, we did an NBA show today and a Major League Baseball show today. And you can get both of those either by going to the atsstats.com site or our 2 YouTube pages, OSGA YouTube channel or the Raymond Report YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, folks, it's absolutely free. Hit the subscribe button, and you'll be notified immediately upon any of our future videos going up for sale. And don't forget, give us a like. It's just encouragement for us.
For Ross Benjamin, I'm Ron Raymond. This was the Raymond Report for Thursday, August 6th. As always, shop for value, play those percentages. We'll see you back shortly with another Raymond Report.